our second Creative Moments interview here with Bryce Kennedy, former FIU football player, former Jags player. How you feeling today, man?
Yeah, former Paxton alum, all that. I feel good, man.
Most definitely.
Feel good.
Man. So let me ask you the first question, man. What was your early life like?
Everybody has their stories and their background and everything. Life for me was, good and bad, ups and downs. As a kid, I was the smallest kid in the class. So, growing up, I was always a little funny kid. Everybody was like, oh, when you get older, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And then I got older and things got better and better. Just worked hard and just made it happen.
Gotcha. So, who first put the ball in your hand? When did you first start playing football?
Actually, I moved to Jacksonville when I was young, like 8 or 9. But my cousin Reggie, I love to play fight and wrestle and that kind of stuff. So he put me in football over at PAL in Arlington when I was about 12 years old. And I was a small kid, but I wanted to play with the bigger kids, so I played junior midget. I was probably 11. I was playing junior midget when I was 11 years old, the smallest kid in the team, but just loved the sport. The first day I was out there, loved the competition, loved being around the guys. So my cousin Reggie was the one who started all of this.
Gotcha. And what position did you start out as?
I want to say running back and linebacker. Pop Warner, they put the best players at running back, so you just run the ball every play. You don't throw much, you don't too much of a scheme, just run left, run right.
Right. So you was the best player being the smallest one, huh?
I had the most heart. I was tiny, man, so I can't even say I was the best at that time, but I had a big heart. I wasn't scared of anybody, and the coach saw that, and he knew I loved it, and he knew I was going to do whatever I could to help the team, even at that age.
Gotcha. Okay, so how did high school ball go for you?
High school was cool. I ended up not playing 9th and 10th grade. 9th grade, I played for North Jacks. 10th grade, my mom was all about grades. I went to Paxton. So she was about my grades. My grades weren't good enough. I had to wait till my junior year. I actually came on that summer, and I met Coach Lundy. He was there when I was there. A couple of days in, he loved me. He loved the competition. He loved the fire. I was the starting corner 3 days into practice, which, at Paxton doesn't sound too crazy, but as a guy who just walked onto the football field, it was a good experience.
Gotcha. So you played corner. Did you play any other positions in high school?
I played safety and receiver for Paxton. I wanted to play quarterback, but I was the kick returner. I did punt returns, but Lundy said I couldn't play quarterback because I couldn't play quarterback and then go play defense, which, quarterback would have been cool, but in the long run, me playing what I played helped me more going forward.
Thanks. Okay. So how did recruitment go for you coming out of high school?
It was ugly. After my junior year, the spring game was pretty good. I had a couple of schools, contacting the coach and everything, but my senior year I actually got hurt and I missed 4 or 5 games. So after the season, I didn't hear too much. I actually contacted, I still got the emails on my phone. I probably contacted 60, 70 D1 schools. Hey, coach, this is Bryce Kennedy from Paxton. These are my stats. This is what I did. This is what I play. I'd love a chance to come play with you. And the funny thing is, I actually got a call back from FIU. And then I could have played there my freshman year, but I couldn't switch my enrollment from fall to summer. So that was the whole thing, and I had to wait longer because of that. And so recruitment out of Paxton was tough. My coach got fired my senior year, so he kind of, I'm not going to say he stopped trying, but there wasn't as much as he could do since he wasn't working anymore.
So let me ask you a question. What's the difference between recruiting when you were coming out of high school in 2013, 2014?
2013, yeah.
2013 to now in 2023. What's up?
It's all social media now. Like, you go on there, you post your highlight tape, and you get 1,000 views, and now coaches click on Twitter. You can contact guys directly. It's not just an email to a random person. I can go on Twitter right now and contact any coach I want to. It's so much easier now to get exposure. When we came out of school, if you weren't going to camps and being one of the top kids there, especially at a school like Paxton, we didn't have coaches coming to Paxton. We played at other schools and we had coaches coming there maybe, but it was tough coming, from over here.
Gotcha. So you walked on at FIU, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't a preferred walk-on. I tried out and got scout like that, and that's how I got on the team.
So what was it like as a walk-on at FIU?
It's everything they say. It's it's terrible. You know, you get everything last. If your cleats rip, if your gloves tear, we ain't got nothing extra for you. You know, if you need an extra shirt, go ask somebody else in the locker room. I can't go to the equipment manager and say, hey, I need some more gloves. I had a friend, it was a receiver, his name was Maloney. Before every game, hey, Maloney, I need some gloves. He'd go and get them for me. So he showed a lot of love. It's definitely a grind. You know, coaches don't want you there. You're a practice guy. So you really have to step up and do a lot to get noticed.
Man, I heard that a lot. I had a college roommate named Quay, and he was walking on the football team. And in college, I was shooting a practice video for the football team, and I would see him cook the DBs every single day, and then come back to our room. I'm like, dang, bro, I don't never give you no shine. He say, because I'm a walk on. And I was like, damn, it's really like that.
It's a business. Same thing in the NFL. If that guy in front of you is getting paid $15 million, you're getting paid $1 million, that $15 million player is going to be the one playing. I saw it firsthand here in Jacksonville. We had a guy on defense. They brought him in and paid him a bunch of money, and his backup was a phenomenal player, but he was an undrafted guy. They ended up playing him that season, and he did okay, but the backup, who I know would have came in and really balled out, he never really got a shot after that. And he's out of the league now, but he was a hell of a player, and just the whole business behind it. You know, you have to have something has to go right for you to get your shot if you're not the guy that they want there.
Gotcha. So what was your workout regimen like at FIU?
Before or after I got on the team?
Let's say right before and then after you got on the team.
Honestly, I lifted a lot of weights. I've always been pretty strong. I used to go out there to the field, the stadium, you know, at 1 o'clock in the morning, the lights from the Jumbotron would be on, and I'd be there like on the football stadium, like on the turf, working out. I had a couple of friends who wanted to play football, but you know, those guys kind of wean off as you go along. You know, hey, let's go to work out today at 3. And I got to do homework, or I got to study for a test. But football to me was something I loved to do, and I knew I could do it. You know, coming from Paxton, I didn't get a lot of exposure, but I never stopped believing that I could play. So I worked out a lot. And then when I got on the team, it was just as crazy. As a walk-on now, you got to do the extra lifts. People, like when they travel for games, the guys who don't travel, I didn't travel my first year, or some of it. You know, on Friday, you had a hell lift. So you're in there after practice and for 2 hours just going crazy. So it actually helped me going forward, because I got crazy strong, you know, from doing that my first year. And it really paid off going into my, you know, the spring and then the next season.
So what do you think that dedication and that drive came from to keep working, and even though you're not really seeing the result as getting on the team yet, where do you think that dedication came from?
It's honestly, it's tough to say, because you know, the saying goes, you know, prove the people who believe in you right, not the people who believe in you wrong. And that's what I always wanted to do. You know, it wasn't many people who believed I could do it, but shit, I know I did. And to me, that's really all that mattered. You know, in life in general, if you want to be this, you want to be that, and you got people telling you can't do it, it's your decision. You know, I'm not saying you can go out there and fly, but if you want to be the president and you believe in it, and your mama's saying, no, you need to go be a teacher or this or that, chase it until you can't anymore.
Gotcha, man. That's great. Okay, so you walked on 2013 to 2014?
No, I didn't. I walked on 2015, I think. My first 2 years, I wasn't on the team. I only played 2 years of football at FIU.
So why were you on the team those first 2 years?
My freshman year, I was partying, hanging out. My GPA had to be a 2.9 to try for the team. They were trying to raise the team GPA at the time because the GPA was low. So as a walk-on, you had to have a 2.9. I had like a 2.4, 2.5 maybe. And I couldn't try out my first year. My second year, I tried out, and funny, I trained with a guy from Jacksonville, because just as a training partner, you know, we worked out together, and he was decent, but it really wasn't a comparison to what, you know, me and him, honestly. And he made the team, I didn't. And that hurt bad. But it helped drive me for that next year. And everything happens for a reason. I wasn't mad about it. I wasn't mad at him. It happens, and you could choose to either stop here or keep going.
So, were y'all in the same position that he made the team? Or?
It's crazy because I was deciding between receiver and DB that year. That's my sophomore year, and I went as a DB. He went as a receiver. The team needed receivers, and I didn't know that at the time. They were looking to bring in receivers as scout team guys, and if I would have known, I probably would have done that. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. I was meant to be a DB. That's where I played at. That's where I got paid at. So, who knows what would have happened if I got that receiver? Maybe I never do get a shot. Maybe I'm the best receiver they ever had. Who's to say what happens?
Gotcha. Okay. So, 2015, you get on the team. 2016, you start playing a little bit. I see you had I think it was 3 tackles and a few more accolades. What was happening that first season?
The first season we still had I came on with Ron Turner. He was the head coach, and he was a real strict guy. He was on you. If you were a walk-on, if you came late, you were cut. If it was any type of mistake you made, he was looking for a reason to get guys out the door. And so he was a real tough coach. That first year, like I said, I was an athlete, but I wasn't fine-tuned yet. So special teams, they saw I could run and I could hit, so they put me out there, and I, made a couple tackles on special teams. And that's really what the season was. I was a great practice player. I came out, worked hard every day. You got meetings for games, and I'm not playing in the games or playing against the teams, but shit, I'm in every meeting watching film, learning, trying to get better. Even though I'm not playing, just keep learning and seeing what I can do to get on the field.
Gotcha. Okay, so the next year, you explode. We see 65 tackles, a pick, 7 pass deflections, 3 fumble recoveries, all conference player. What changed between, 2016 and 2017 for you that made you explode in such a way?
Honestly, the head coach he's from Butch Davis.
Butch Davis.
Yeah, so from my junior to senior year, Butch Davis came in that spring, and crazy enough, he actually cut me from the team that spring. That was another long story, but he put me back on the team the day of spring practice, the first day of spring practice, and honestly, Butch Davis was the kind of guy, he didn't care what you were. He was new to the team, so he didn't have a favorite. So he's looking to see who could play. The first day of spring, like I said, he cut me and he brought me back the first day of spring. I was the 5th string corner because I just got back on the team. And the 3rd day of practice, I was starting at safety. We went through one-on-ones the first 3 days. I probably had 2 picks and 6 or 7 PBUs. I didn't give up a catch in 4 days of practice. And, he brought me in after the 3rd or 4th practice and sat me down in the running backs room. And I'm like, oh man, they're like, am I getting moved to running back? I've been balling at DB. But he sat me down with the safeties coach, and he was like, hey, we're moving you over. You didn't do anything wrong, but we want to give you a shot here. And that shot is what gave me my opportunity to go out there and do what you said, make the plays, become a player, go out there and stand out. And he gave me a lot of confidence, and I appreciate him for that.
So my question is, why did he cut you as soon as he got in?
Honestly, just coming in, same thing with what's the name of Colorado? Dion. He's just trying to bring in his guys, or bring in the guys that he thinks can play. So when he first got there, he made a good amount of cuts, just trying to create a better team. We were a bad team the year before. I think we won 2 games the year before. We went from 2-10 to 8-5, 8-6, or something like that. When his first year there, so it wasn't a. I understand where he was coming from. He's a winner, and he wants the winners around him. So you can't build a winning culture with all the same pieces you had. You have to bring in new life and try to grow with new people in that situation.
Gotcha. Okay. So once you exploded your senior year, did NFL coaches start reaching out at that point?
It was actually at my pro day. I had a great pro day. I ran in the 4.4s. I jumped a 40 basically on the vert. My broad was, actually it was a 11.3, but I fell backwards on the first attempt. So he made me go do it right again, and I jumped a 10.10, which is still, you look up the numbers from the combine that year, and I was probably top 5 in basically everything. So after pro day, we maybe had 18, 20 teams there. I talked to 10, 12 of them. I did a workout for the Jags, for the Dolphins, I talked to the Raiders. San Fran called me the day before the draft, asking about flights to rookie minicamp and can you come to California? I was like, yeah, I could be there. Just, let me know when and where and I'll be there. But all that kind of stuff, like I said, it's a business. So people can call you and say, hey, we're going to draft you in the first round. The draft comes around and you don't get drafted. Now it's the fifth round and another team's calling you, hey, we're going to draft you here. They may not draft you. Now it's after the draft, you don't get a phone call. So you never really know until it happens in football, which is the scary part of it.
Yeah, man. You were killing it at your pro day, man. We looked you up. So you had like a 39-inch vert and 15 bench reps as a DB.
It was probably 16. He might have took one away. Yeah. It was probably 16.
Yeah, man. You was on it, man. You was on a mission for real. Mm-hmm. A lot of DBs don't put up 15 on the bench, man. They might do 10, 8, but...
And it's funny. I was talking to the Raiders scout. My last name's Canady, so I went first in all the drills. And Alex Gardner from Jacksonville, he was actually right behind me, so that was funny. I did my vert, and everybody was oohing and on. Oh, what kind of shoes you got on, son? How you do all that? So we go to the bench. I'm down there by myself. It's just me and him down there. And, I was waiting, warming up, stretching. And he's like, what you waiting on? I was like, I'm, waiting for the guys. You want guys around you hyping you up like you see on TV. He was like, man, I don't care what you do. If you get more than 5 reps, you're good to go. And I was like, shit, that's the case. Let me pump these out. 12, 13, 14, 15. And I did the 15 and I felt good doing that. I really wanted to get closer to 20. But I changed my grip training for pro day to become a stronger athlete, because you train for testing, but it has to correlate. So I changed my grip from a certain way during training, so it kind of limited my growth in that, but it made me stronger as an athlete.
Gotcha. Okay, so after pro day, so what was draft day like for you?
It was crazy. Like I said, I had talked to a couple teams, so I was just hoping and praying, and it was funny. I was at home with my mom and dad, and they were upstairs in the room watching it on the TV, and I was downstairs by myself watching it because they were just as nervous as I was, After the draft, you get to round 6 and round 7, you see this player got drafted that you play against, and it's like, man, we played them, and or even you look at the stats, and it's hard you can't compare yourself to other people because it never works out like that. Because you can go and look at people who got drafted above me, and it's like, you said I played that 1 year and I had all them stats. Guys play 2-3 seasons, and they have 55 tackles, 4 PBUs a pick, and I did all that stuff in 1 year, which I really could have done more. If I a couple more plays, things would have been differently. But so draft day was tough because I didn't get my name called. I kind of, I knew it was going to be tough playing that one season. I talked to Butch Davis before the draft, and he's coached 20, 30 first-round picks, 50, 100 guys who got drafted. And he was like, I think you can play with anybody. You play in that 1 year, it is kind of limits the exposure, but, you can play. So I had hope that I'd get my name called, but after the draft, I'm sitting there and hoping for a phone call, and my mom was up there probably crying. But she didn't want me to cry, so she's in her room crying. I'm downstairs, and so it was a long day. You watch the draft now. People don't sit there and watch every pick, but when you're the guy that's hoping to get drafted, you see pick 1 through pick Mr. Irrelevant, 256, and just hoping for the best.
Okay. So after pick 256, what happened? Did your phone start blowing up? Text, emails? No,
actually, the Jags probably called 15 minutes after the draft. I did a workout for the Jags, and it's funny because I did a workout with the Jags and with the Dolphins. And like I said, the Raiders had talked to me, the 49ers had talked to the Packers a little bit, and everybody else wanted me to play safety. Jacksonville wanted me to play corner. I talked to my agent before the draft. I was like, hey, if I get the call from multiple teams, I don't want to go to Jacksonville, because they want me just playing corner, and they had A.J. Bouye, they had Jalen Ramsey, they just paid DJ Hayden to come in and play, and it's just like the roster there was so deep at corner. I was like, me going, and then corner, I played corner, but I was a better safety. So me going somewhere to play safety was my ideal, landing spot. So the Jags called, they invited me to rookie mini camp, and went and told my mom. She was happy. She cried a little bit more. I was happy, just to get the chance. And the work started, went back to work the next day.
Okay, so what was that feeling like knowing that you're going to be going to camp for your hometown team? After playing that Paxson, after walking on that FIU, after beating all these odds.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like knowing you're going to be going to camp with your hometown team now?
It's just you're grateful. The opportunity, like you said, isn't given to a lot of people. There's guys that played 4 or 5 years in college and they never scratched or sniffed the NFL. So, and then playing for your hometown team, like it's awesome because, everybody from your hometown knows you're there. If you go get picked up by a team in California from Jacksonville, people might not know. But I'm from Jacksonville, so it's on the news. All the articles are local product, this and that, Paxson, this and that. And, all that to say, Paxson never gave me anything at the school. I didn't get my name anywhere or anything like that. So if anybody sees us from Paxson, you can put my name up there somewhere. But it was definitely a good experience. I loved it. The opportunity to play in front of my people, my parents, was awesome. Wish it could have worked out a little bit better, but things happened how they happened, and I'm thankful that I was given the chance.
Gotcha. Okay, so you know me, I ain't never been up there. So, my question is, do you get paid for rookie minicamp, or do you get?
If you're a trial guy, you sign a paper saying, I'm here. If I get hurt, I'm going home, and I'm not getting any money for this. And rookie minicamp for the Jags was terrible. I had blisters on 4 of my toes. I lost 3 toenails. The back of my heels were all tore up. My big toes were falling off. It was a 3-day camp, and you had 2 days. The morning session was are you in shape? Can we kill you? We're there running, up, downs, whatever they can do to make us tired to see who's in shape and who's not. Because if you come in as a rookie and you're not in shape, we got 50 vets who don't have time for that. We got 50 proven guys, so why are we going to give you a chance? And if you're a trial guy and you're not in shape, what are you doing here? We had guys the first day, he was an older guy, he pulled his hamstring. He's like, yeah, my hamstring's a little tight. He could still play, but he was like, it's a little tight. After the first practice, or the first morning session, he was home by 4 p.m. that day.
What?
Yeah, if you're not a guy they signed or drafted, any type of tweak, we'll send you home right now.
Wow. Damn, I didn't know it was that cutthroat. I heard some stories, but I didn't know it was that cutthroat.
It's probably 75 guys there, and they're only looking at the 8 guys they drafted. Everybody else is there just to give those guys a look.
Wow. Okay. So, how did you end up leaving the Jags?
You said leaving, or?
How did you end up getting, I don't want to say getting cut, but how did you end up?
It was actually crazy because my friend, his name is Wint, he got a tryout with the Jets, and he said, hey, the way you're going to get signed is after the rookie minicamp, they'll bring you in for a physical. So day 3 of the Jags minicamps comes around, and I did great. I had a pick 6, I had some PBUs, like I was going against, they drafted DJ Chark in the 2nd round, and, I played pretty well against them, and they had signed some other DBs, and those guys were, hit or miss. Trey Herndon was a baller from day one. He plays for them now still, and he could play football. He was smart. He was coachable. He could cover. But I felt like me and Trey, there wasn't a big difference there. So after the 3rd day of minicamp, I get a call from the GM, hey, we're bringing you in for a physical. Don't leave. And I'm in my car about to drive home. So I park the car, get back, go back inside. And so we go get a physical the next day. And they bring me in. I sit down with the head coach, and he's like, hey, we're not going to sign you yet. We're going to bring you back for veteran minicamp. So, okay, that was a kind of shot. So I come back for that. I do well again, but they're like, hey, we just signed these guys, and we don't want to, we paid them already, so we don't want to cut them until we see what they can do. So I didn't get back on the Jags until week 2 of the preseason. And by that point, they're kind of game planning for the regular season already. They're kind of done evaluating. Now they're just putting guys in places to play to fill out the rest of the time that they're there. But the situation wasn't, there's everything in the NFL is going to be tough. But if you can get somewhere and get into that right spot, if you're that safety and they have 2 safeties and the guys behind them are kind of wishy-washy, or somebody gets hurt, and you can get that spot, you can work through it. But with the Jags, me playing, like I said, I played safety in college. I came to rookie minicamp as a corner. I called my dad at first night, and I was like, hey, I don't know about this because I don't play corner naturally. he said, man, you're here now. So took that and ran with it and just kept going with that.
Okay. So after the short Jags thing, what was the next move after that?
I actually got a call from the Apollos, the AAF, shortly after, it was a league. It was around the 2018, 2019. It was a good league. Charlie Ebersol owned it, I think. He sold it to somebody, and that guy was money hungry. He wanted to use the technology from the league, and he took it, and he wanted to compete with the NFL, which was the dumbest thing you could do because nobody's going against the Shield.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and he wanted the NFL guys to bring their players over from practice squads and stuff, which was never going to work out the way he wanted it to. And he wanted to force things, and he just was a small fish in a big pond. But the AAF was great. I mean, a lot of good people, got coached up, made some money for the first time. Because, in training camp, you get paid, but it's not too much money. In the AAF, we made some pretty good money, so I got a chance to, learn how to, well, not learn what to do with money, but I made some money. And, first time you make money, you're going to blow it. Second time you make money, you're going to blow it again a little slower. And the third time is when you sit down and you're like, okay, let me invest some of this money now and you can do something with it.
Yeah. Okay. So I was actually going to ask you about that. I'm glad you actually brought that up. So
Yep.
With the AAF shutting down, I think when they shut down like 4 or 5 games into the season.
I think 5 weeks in.
5 weeks in.
5 or 6, yeah.
So how did that happen? Like how did that go down? How was that for you? Like what was your experience?
I remember, I'll never forget, it was a Tuesday. I had bought a car that morning. And we go there, we go to team meetings, we get to the stadium to go to practice, and they sit us down, they're like, yeah, the league's folding, you guys have to go home. And it was just crazy, because like I said, I bought a car that morning. And so just for that to happen like that, it was just, that's why I will never forget, because I bought a car the same day the league folded. And, I had the money for the car, that wasn't a big deal, but just the fact that we weren't going to keep getting paid and we we're going to keep playing was crazy and so abrupt. Guys couldn't get film. After the season, I wasn't able to go back and say, hey, can I get film from this? Because the media team was like, we can't give you anything because we don't really own it. They came and filed bankruptcy pretty quick. So guys weren't able to get film, so I couldn't get anything from that league, which didn't help me going forward and try to get other opportunities.
So you guys didn't get paid out the rest of your contract and nothing? It was just like, all right.
They ended up giving us a settlement. This was, I think maybe last year, but they owed us another, because I was on the best team. We would have won the championship, and we would have made another $30,000, $40,000. And they maybe gave us a couple $1,000s last year, nothing crazy. But that whole thing was crazy though.
Yeah, man, that's wild. I actually had so one of the video coordinators from my school actually became the video coordinator of the Atlanta Legends. And he was trying to come back to Cookman. We was like, why? He was like, the league just folded. And we was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he uprooted everything and just went with the AAF, and they just folded like randomly, man.
Yeah.
So I knew it had to be crazy for the players as well if it was just as crazy for him like that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
I mean, for guys that didn't live in Florida. Well, luckily, the teams were based on where you lived. So we were a Florida team, and we were good because we were a Florida team. We had, everybody was from Florida, or most of the guys were from Florida. So we dominated that league because we had the best athletes, I feel like, and there's a lot of NFL talent on that team. We have guys. Dearness Johnson played with us. He's with the Jags now, which is a crazy story. Me and Dearness used to sit because we came to Jacksonville for a little while and stayed here. So we used to sit right across from the stadium, across the water at a hotel, and eat lunch and talk about football. And to see him now being successful, and he was in Cleveland a couple of years, now he's in Jacksonville, and I pray he gets a good shot here because he can play football. It's just crazy to think that he took that and made it to this.
I mean, y'all had a few ballers. Y'all had Reggie Northrup.
Yep.
Y'all had a few ballers on
Yep.
the team, man.
Garrett Gilbert, he's actually still in the league right now.
Yeah.
Ish Hyman, he's playing in the USFL now. Yeah, we had a good amount of. Keith Reeser was a guy who was an NFL corner out there, and he was a problem. He led the league in pick sixes. The day after the league folded, he got a call that same day. Say, hey, pack your bags, you're coming to, I think he went to Kansas City after that. But it was, we had some real good players on that team.
Gotcha. Okay. So after the AAF, what was next after that?
The XFL came around, and that was maybe a year after.
Yeah, that was 2020. The XFL, the second new XFL.
Yeah. The second stint. Yeah, that came, like I said, like a year after. And funny enough, the GM from Orlando was the GM in Tampa. So, me and him got along good in Orlando. I was the youngest guy on that team in Orlando. We had a bunch of vets, and I played. So, me and him were real cool, real close. He brought me into Tampa, and that situation was another great opportunity. It didn't work out in my favor, with certain politics and how things went, but like I said, every opportunity you get to play the game you love is a blessing. No matter what happens here, what happens there, you get a chance, you're blessed. Because a lot of guys wish they got a chance and wish they could go out there and be on the field and be around the guys and get paid to do what they love. And that's anybody and anything, not just football.
But didn't the XFL fold because of COVID too?
Yep. So that folded because of COVID. That was probably week 6, week 7. I remember the exit meetings and everybody was just worried about people having COVID. We're going to see the coaches and they might be in there coughing. And man, am I going home with COVID? So that was another, shot in the gut. That we go from this and this league's supposed to be good and it ended up collapsing again. And that was Vince McMahon, so we knew the money was good. That wasn't going to be a problem because Vince he's got to be a billionaire. So that was another tough shot.
Gotcha. Okay, so after the XFL folded, so what was after that? Did you want to hang up pro ball after that, or what was you after that?
No, I still wanted to play. Funny enough, that same GM I said I knew from Orlando and Tampa, he got a job with the Patriots. And I wasn't expecting a call because I didn't do too much in the XFL. But the Patriots called me that next off season during camp, I think, and like, hey, are you vaccinated? And for whatever reason, I wasn't vaccinated yet. Just listening to people in the media saying it was good or bad, and I just, I wasn't pressed to go get it. But at the time, I should have just went and got it. So they called at 8 in the morning. By 10 o'clock, I had the vaccine. But in the NFL, you need to be 10 days vaccinated or 10 days removed from the shot to be vaccinated. So by that point, I'm sure they brought somebody else in and made the other calls. So that was more so my fault than anything. But everything happens for a reason, And then the XFL didn't come back for 2 years. I ended up having a kid. I started a business, and my focus was more so on to play any sport professionally. You need to be selfish. As crazy as it sounds, you have to put yourself first before everybody. You need to eat, you need to work out, you need to train. You can't really take away from the goal to do something else. If you have a kid or a family, I don't want to say it comes second, but if you want to be the best you, then you have to dedicate yourself to that.
So is growing up and becoming a man what made you hang up your pro ball career?
Kind of having a family, like I said, I have a kid now and she needs me. Trying to help my girl's life, putting them first is kind of what made me be like, I'm not saying hang it up, but I love football, so I know what it takes to be the best version of me. And I just know I couldn't do that at the time when it came back around. I could go out there and work out and train a little bit, but when I was training, I was 5-6 days a week. I was eating this and that. I'm traveling around. Like I used to go to Atlanta and train for the XFL and the AAF. I wasn't here in Jacksonville. I think to really get into it, you have to remove yourself from all your distractions. I can't be playing for the Jaguars, training here in Jacksonville just because my mom's here, my dad's here, my cousins are here, all my friends are here. I needed to lock in and focus on myself in order to get to where I can be at that high level.
So my next question is, if you could go back and change anything over your football career, what would it be?
Honestly, my senior year at FIU, the year Butch Davis was there, they came to me and I could have took a redshirt year. I could have gotten an extra year to play football. But at the time, it was a hardship year. Because like I said, when I came to school, I was a walk-on. And at the time, my mom was in school too, so I was working when I first got to FIU. I could have applied for a hardship year, And odds are I could have got it just because of the situation. You know, I came in working. I didn't, you know, I had financially, like, I didn't have the time to play football. But in my mind, I had prayed so much and put so much work into that season. And mind you, during the season, I got coaches there like, oh, the Chargers are here. And I talked to them. They love you, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking to Butch Davis. Yeah, I think you can go here, go there. So when he came and asked me, in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, I prayed for this year. I put so much work into this year. Like, everything happens for a reason. So, and I told them no. Like, you know, I'm supposed to be here right now. Like, this is my opportunity to go and be at the next level. So I said no to that. But looking back on it, if I could have got a second year to play football at FIU with those, you know, because I would have gotten so much better from that first year. You know, the first year, the first 3 games, I was learning how to play again because I hadn't played, you know, real football since high school. So if I could have taken what I did at the end of the season and transferred that to the whole of the year and got better, bigger, stronger, faster, like you said, I was a freak in my pro day. Imagine another year of me getting better at football and me becoming a better athlete, what I could have been and could have done.
Okay. So I got a few more questions for you, man. Do you think NIL deals help or hurt the college sports landscape?
I don't know. I have a little brother now, Jaden Canady. He was a freshman of the year in the American Conference at Tulane. You know, he's a certified baller. His first play or second play in college, he got a pick on Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. He played for Tulane, and he transferred to Ole Miss. And we talked about NIL from day one, you know. So for certain guys, if the money stops you from being you and working hard, it's a negative. But like with Jaden, we talk about the money here is cool, but if you're getting $40,000, $50,000, you know, for this season, that's nothing compared to the millions of dollars that you get in the NFL. So NIL is great. I love the kids can get some money and make some money off their name because when we was in school, you know, you couldn't sell anything that had to do with you. So it's not a negative as long as you keep the main thing the main thing. I tell Jaden, you know, go out there, make your money, but never forget that $50,000 is nothing compared to that, you know, $5 million deal that this guy just signed in the NFL. And he might be a guy, you know, he's a second, third, fourth year guy. He might have had 35 tackles last year and 2 picks and a PBU, but he's getting $5 million now. So as long as you keep the main thing, NIL can be a good thing, or is a good thing for majority of the cases.
So what are your thoughts on the transfer portal and how it's used now?
It's crazy because when I was in school, I thought about transferring, but you had to graduate to play right away. After the first year, I didn't play at FIU. They're bringing a new coaching staff, and I was like, man, maybe I should go to a smaller, you know, FCS, HBCU, something like that, where I might have a better chance to play. So it's tough to say. Nowadays, but it gives kids a chance who can't play to go somewhere else and play at a bigger stage without having to sit out a year. So that's another thing that's good and bad. Some of these kids, they go to this school, they go to Alabama and never play. Now they transfer out and they go to Indiana, don't play. Now it's like, all right, maybe it's not the school, you know, maybe it is you. So, but for those kids who, like my little brother Jaden, he came out of school the COVID year. Jaden was 5'10", 155, you know. He was tiny on paper, but you go see him play, and he was a monster. 10 picks, 10 touchdowns his senior year over at Sandalwood. People thought he was too small. SEC schools thought he was too small. You know, the Floridas, the other schools like that, oh, Jaden's too small to play here. Well, now he's at Ole Miss. You know, he went and played against Ole Miss his freshman year. He played against Oklahoma his freshman year. A bunch of guys who got drafted. Cincinnati the year that they went on those games. So it can be, it's good for the kids to know how to use it. For those kids who are going out there hopping in the portal because they're not playing or the guy beat them out or something like that, it's not the best thing because if you're getting beat out here, if you're at Alabama and you're getting beat out, don't go to another Georgia or Tennessee. Go drop down a level and see how you do there. You know, go to the FIUs, the FAUs, and compete and try to get a spot. And because anywhere you go, the NFL will find you. There's D2 guys that get drafted, D3 guys. guys that go JUCO that get moved up and they get drafted, and it's just, if you can play football, somebody will find you.
So my last question: what advice do you have for anybody coming out of high school that wants to walk on to a D1 football?
Work twice as hard as them to get half of what they have. That was my saying in college. I had it on my wall. I was the biggest, strongest, fastest guy I could be. And not only that, but be smart. Like I said, I wasn't playing that first year, but learn football. Just because you can run fast and jump high doesn't mean you can play football. If you go out there and you can't read a route combination, remember the play, know the check, call the audible, whatever it is, you can't play football. So if you want to walk on and you're serious about it, work your ass off, learn football, love football. Don't be the guy who, I want to play football, but I want to go out and party. You know what I mean? I want to play football, but I want to go out and eat junk 7 days a week. I want to play football, but I also want to be super cool and, be in front of all these girls and do all this kind of stuff. So if you want to walk on and you really, truly mean it, like, live it. Do it every day. Get up, grind, go to class, get good grades. Like my freshman year, I couldn't play because my grades, that's on me. But who's to say if I play 4 years of football at FIU that I don't get drafted in the first, second, third round? You know what I mean? I played 1 year and I get a shot. If I play 4 years, imagine what happens.
So anything you want to get off your chest or promote before you get off here, man, before we finish up?
Oh man, like I said, if Paxton could give me something at the school, that'd be awesome. I've got a moving business now. You can find it at movewitham.co. That's my next venture. In life, if you want to be successful in anything, you can do it. I went from playing football to trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I have a moving business now, and it's going to be a 6-figure business, end of this year. So, football doesn't define what you can and can't do as a person. I took what I learned from that and took it to this, and now I have a strong business. I take care of myself, my daughter, my girl now, and that's all because I put the work in and I know how to get stuff done.
That's great, man. Well, that's been Bryce Canady with Creative Moments, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Man, that was great, bro.